You're listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this 39th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I am your host, Shawn, and I just finished mowing the lawn. So if you see any grass clippings on me or, just ignore it. Or tell me. Either one is fine with me. We had a nice week this week, full of trailers and release dates and all kinds of goodies in the whole post-apocalyptic realm. So I have a lot to talk about, which is always fun, especially when I talk so quickly, right? So I want to thank everyone for tuning in and either listening to this on the audio version or watching the video version on YouTube. Either one is fine with me. Actually, I like the audio version better because then you don't have to look at me. It works out better for me. So thanks again, everyone, for watching and or listening. And if you're not watching and you're only listening, check out the YouTube channel, Post-Apocalyptic Media. And if you're watching and not listening, there's a little dial there you turn up and you can actually hear what I'm saying. It's really cool. I have a lot of really important things to say. And that includes the first little bit of news here, which is, okay, who out there is a Nic Cage fan? I mean, I should see all of you raising your hands because Nic Cage, he's one of those actors who started out, kind of in a cult status, Raising Arizona, stuff like that. And then he grew to be a big star. He was really, he's not Tom Cruise, but he's up there, right? And then he went back into this cult status in the last probably 10 years, maybe even 20 years. And right now he has a movie coming out in addition to about 5 other movies he has coming out this year. But this one is post-apocalyptic, called Prisoners of the Ghostland. And it's a strange movie. The trailer came out last week, and I think it's interesting because it has a very a martial art style to it, but also he's this hero, and ironically his name is Hero in the movie. I'm not sure who did that, but it's very, I don't know, it's kind of like neo-Western, where they have the guy who wants him to go save his granddaughter. His name is the Governor. So the Governor, Hero, kind of basic, names aren't important, right? It's the action that counts in this one. But so he asked Nic Cage to go out and save his granddaughter. And in the place where he has to go to do this is this crazy town that you see in the trailer. You see it in the second part of the trailer. And it looks, I said in the article I wrote that it puts Fury Road to shame. I stand by that because it's amazing. And not only is it amazing aesthetically, as far as being a post-apocalyptic, universe that you'd want to be in, you want to see in a movie, it's crazy. It has some crazy costumes and just it's pretty wild. And actually, Nic Cage himself said that this is probably the wildest movie he's ever made. So think about that. Nic Cage saying that this, if he's admitting it, then it's probably not just publicity stunt for him to say that it's actually true. I'm excited to see it, and it comes out actually on September 17th. So that's about a month, a little less than a month away. They revealed it at the 2021 Sundance Film Festival, which was January, February, somewhere back there, and it got some little bit of reception there. As far as people liked it, people seemed to enjoy what they saw, and everyone agreed it was weird, but in a good way, Nic Cage weird. So now we have the 17th to look forward to, and it says it's going to be in theaters and video on demand. And so when they say that, it usually means something like, sometimes Amazon will have that, or like Vudu, which is basically Walmart's streaming service, something along those lines. Roku, probably available in most of those. I'm going to check it out, and I'm sure I'll be able to talk about it on the podcast, so look for that in about a month. I'm excited. I'm really excited because I love weird. I love so in the realm of post-apocalyptic, there's like the encompassing post-apocalyptic, right? Then there's weird, which fits in there, and horror. I love the horror stuff too. So that's kind of all encompassing right there. All right, in the next little bit of news, we have The Handmaid's Tale, which, as you know, we are big fans of The Handmaid's Tale here. Derek and Stephanie are probably more fans than I am. I stopped watching it at season 4, but before that I loved it. But season 5 is coming up, and the important thing here is that they're saying already that that's probably going to be it. They're not going to have any more Handmaid's Tale after this, which makes sense because the book itself kind of ended at this point. And a lot of people are even saying that it seems like they might be milking it a little bit, because you have the book, you have the events of the book, and they're kind of at that point now at the end of the book. And so they're, from what I hear, I haven't seen season 4 again, but it seems like from what I hear that they're at that point where they should be ending it, and they're kind of milking it. But to go beyond season 5 would just be a crime at this point. So what they're going to do is they're going to stop after season 5, and then they're going to make a spin-off called The Testaments. Now, The Testaments was a book that Margaret Atwood wrote in 2019. So she just wrote it, 2 years ago. And this is after, the original was written in 85. Handmaid's Tale was written in 85. So this is way after. And I don't know if she started writing it after the success of Handmaid's Tale, the TV show itself. But so now she wrote The Testaments, and they say they're going to make that the spin-off. And it's going to be 15 years after the events of the final scene in the original Handmaid's Tale book. So, we'll be able to see what happens to these characters 15 years later. That's exciting. I mean, I will probably catch up. I'm sure I'll catch up with season 4 before I see season 5. But yeah, to catch up with all that, especially before The Testaments comes out. A lot of fans are torn, though. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to take that, I mean, of course, a lot of them are happy that they're following the book and that they're ending it when they are, and then doing the spin-off. It only makes sense. I mean, it makes total sense. Others, of course, are sad that this will be it. And of course, it depends on how far The Testaments goes. Is that going to be, I don't even know if it's going to be a TV show itself or a movie. It says it will be a TV adaptation. Okay, so maybe that'll go a couple of seasons. We'll see. All right, next little bit of news here this is a good one. Now, we've talked about this before. There was a movie called BIOS that we've talked about probably a year ago, at least, with Tom Hanks, and that's all we heard about it. We heard that it was going to be a Tom Hanks kind of a special thing that he's doing he's going to be an inventor, a robotics engineer, who's going to create this robot to take care of his dog when he dies. He's not doing so well in the apocalypse, I mean, as you might imagine. And he loves his dog. His dog's name is Goodyear, which is a great name for a dog. So up until recently, they were running with this BIOS name. That was going to be the name of it. And everyone was excited. We're going to see this BIOS movie with Tom Hanks. And then recently they said, actually this year, they kept changing the release date. They kept moving it up. They said it was going to be October 2020. Then they said it was going to be April of 2021. And then they're going to say it's August of 2021. We actually had it on our calendar for a long time saying August 13th, 2021. And then we just didn't hear anything else. And August 13th was coming up, and we're like, we haven't seen a trailer? We haven't seen anything. And at this point, they had already changed the name of the movie from BIOS to Finch. And Finch, we did a podcast a couple of months ago where I was making fun of the fact that they called it Finch. It just doesn't sound like a post-apocalyptic movie. It sounds like a Disney movie about a bird, right? So I don't know. I was a little skeptical, maybe a little too hard on him about that name, because that's the name of the character, Finch. So, I guess that makes sense. But then in August 20th, it was going to be, they moved it again from the 13th to the 20th. But then they finally said, you know what? Last week they said, you know what? We're just going to release it on November 5th. That'll be it. We swear this time. We swear it'll be November 5th. We're not going to move it again. We'll see about that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely check it out. Tom Hanks. It's going to be Apple Plus. So it's going to be an Apple Plus exclusive. And, how can you beat that? It seems to me it's kind of like, what was that movie that came out last year with George Clooney? That, the George Clooney movie where he was saving the little girl and he was in the Arctic research facility. It seems like that. Like he's setting up this robot to take care of his dog. But from what I hear, they haven't released too much about this. They released a little bit of they released like a screenshot from the movie, a still, and they released a little blurb that says that he's sick, so he made this robot to take care of his dog. But I guess the heartfelt part of it is he's taking the robot out of his little bunker he's hidden in for 10 years. And he wants to teach the robot about life. He wants to teach it, what living a life is like, and how to, I don't know, kind of like how to take care of a dog, how to take care of life. And that sounds interesting. It sounds like something that might be kind of I don't know. There'd be some sadness to it, I imagine, some deep drama. I don't see it as really an action movie or a thriller or anything like that. It seems like it's more of just a heartfelt action movie, a Tom Hanks heartfelt action movie, right? So, and he's good at that, right? So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. All right, let's get into this next little bit of news. There's this movie, another movie that has a release date announced, and the movie is called The Survivalist. Now, it stars John Malkovich, who you may know from such movies as Dangerous Liaisons. What else? What else has this guy been in? If you were around in the 90s, you know John Malkovich. So he actually isn't the survivalist in this movie. Spoiler alert, he's not the survivalist. He is the bad guy. He's like this guy who is trying to capture this little girl. I say little girl, probably early 20s. And she has, in her blood, she has the cure for this virus, this disease that wiped out most of civilization. And this girl is actually played by Ruby Modine, who is the daughter of Matthew Modine. I'm a huge fan of Matthew Modine. He was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Full Metal Jacket. He was Joker, Private Joker, if you have ever seen that. So Ruby Modine is his real-life daughter, and she plays the girl with the immunity in her blood. John Malkovich is the bad guy who leads a small little group of armed dudes who try to capture her because they want to find out, why she's immune. What's so special about her, right? But then Jonathan Rhys-Meyers plays a retired FBI agent. He's actually the survivalist. The title Survivalist is all about him. He plays this retired FBI agent who does what you would expect a retired FBI agent to do, is go live in the woods, brush up on his survival skills, and so I don't know. It doesn't really show in the trailer, but someone tells, this girl's name is Sarah. Ruby Modine plays a girl named Sarah. Someone tells Sarah to go to Ben, and Ben is the survivalist. I don't know if it's like a family, maybe it's like her uncle. I don't know. It doesn't really explain it in the trailer, but so she runs to him to be protected from anyone who might do her harm, and that's John Malkovich. So it looks pretty cool. It looks very Rambo, the guy kind of with his survivalist skills and his ex-military training and all this stuff. But I don't think Jonathan Rhys-Meyers really takes off his shirt and, as much as Sylvester Stallone did in in Rambo. I grew up with 80s and 90s movies though, so I mean, when I see something like this, I'm like, Rambo. It's Rambo. I'm gonna check this out because it's Rambo. Should be cool. We have yet to see if he'll have like an M60 and just like like straps of bullets across his chest, and he's just wiping everyone out with his slow motion, machine gun. I don't know if that's going to happen. I did see some bows and arrows being shot though, and a like a hunting rifle. So it looks pretty cool. And I hope that they plan this out to where they show the Survivalist in a good light. You know what I mean? We get a lot of kind of negative, negativity around preppers and survivalists and stuff like that. And so hopefully this guy isn't totally backwoods and totally backwards. He doesn't sound like he is if he's an ex FBI agent. So, and that comes out August 1st of this year. So check that out. We have a lot right there. We have the September 17th, October 1st. Dune is coming out in October, like the end of October. Yeah, it's going to be busy. All right, next little piece of news here is about a game. I'm a big gamer. I'm a big lover of games. There was a game that came out not too long ago called Frostpunk. It was a survival game, and it's not really something we covered because it wasn't technically post-apocalyptic, although it was, it's kind of borderline on there. Well, at the end of the game, again, spoiler alert, there is an apocalypse. There's this big catastrophe that happens. And they're going to make a sequel to it. And it's called Frostpunk 2, as you might imagine. They had an announcement trailer that came out this last week, and they say, this is a quote, they say, players are once again tasked with playing as the leader of a resource-hungry metropolis where the expansion and search for new sources of power is an unavoidable reality. So it sounds like it's going to have the same type of gameplay, right? But the addition here is that it will be in the events after the first movie, or the first game. And so it'll be post-apocalyptic. Technically, it will literally be post-apocalyptic. So now we can cover it, right? I can play this game. I can write it off as a tax write-off, right? and it'll be something that will be post-apocalyptic. I'm excited to see it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to play it. I don't know if I'll stream it. I've been trying to make a list of games I want to stream, and it's just not happening. So I need some encouragement from you guys. Just be like, hey, stream more stuff, right? All right, let's go on to this next bit of news here. I'm whipping through this news, but we still have a lot left, and we have a big one at the end here. I want to talk about The Walking Dead, which is the final season, season 11, the first episode. It's going to be spoilerific. There's going to be some spoilers I'm going to talk about, but I will warn you before I do it. So look forward to that. But before I do that, I want to talk about the fires that are happening in British Columbia right now in Canada. Val wrote an article that has some amazing photos and footage of what's happening there. And you might think, well, why is that being covered in a post-apocalyptic media website? Well, you should see these photos. They are incredible. There's this one that has a car, like an old, I swear it's a 40s car, like an old 40s. I can't tell what it is because it's a burnt hull of something. But it looks like something straight out of Fallout. You have the trees in the background. You have a very orange-brown hue to the whole thing. And then this car is just burnt out. The doors are open. The glass is all shattered out. It just was in the middle of this fire. And it's such a tragedy because I love old cars. This hurts. When I see this picture, it hurts. It gets me right there. But it's a great photo. I mean, unfortunately, it's a great photo. And there's a couple other photos of some of the devastation that's happening. All these cars and houses and just forests are just gone. If you haven't heard about this, the BC fires, you can go on Twitter. You can go on Instagram too, I imagine, and just look at the hashtag BC fires or BC wildfires, either one, and they'll show you. You can see all these photos, and you can go on our site and you can see a lot of these on there. just a lot of really orange hue photos where you can, it's really hazy. You can see the fires in the background. It's a horrible time. I mean, there are so many fires going on right now everywhere. Germany had some pretty big ones, and also flooding. I think it's New Zealand maybe, or Australia. Seems like it always has something going on like that. And the western side of North America, whether it be the United States or Canada, is just always burning, and it's crazy. Val showed us this photo where it showed a map of British Columbia, and there were dots where each fire is, and not only dots, but the whole area where that's burning. And it's that whole area. It's crazy. She lives out there, and we always, of course, we wish her safety through things like this, and it's crazy. It's crazy times. Yeah. So when we cover something like this, it's a lot harder, because when we cover media, a game or a TV show or a movie, it's not real. We can look at it and be like, that's a cool looking explosion, or that's a cool looking devastation where the entire area is burned up. When you look at this, you're saying to yourself, wow, this is real, and it's really affecting real people. So it's something we cover because of the visuals, but it's sad. It's really sad stuff. So you can check out that post on the site as well, and there's tons of photos on there and links to Twitter, more Twitter accounts that have more of the photos. All right, well, let's get a little more into the fake world, right? And speaking of the fake world, this is like the fake world of the fake world. This is a fake world within a fake world. This is the top 7 post-apocalyptic movies and TV shows that aren't even real. This is an article I wrote. I had a friend of mine who showed me this website called Nestflix.fun. Nestflix. Yes, not Netflix, but Nestflix. And they set up the site. When you go there, Nestflix.fun, it looks exactly like Netflix. They have where you can click on a image, and it'll take you to a synopsis of that movie or TV show, and it'll tell you the rating, it'll tell you how long it is, and a lot of this is based on stuff that's not even real. If you're confused what I'm talking about, here's an example. So, do you remember? I'm asking if you remember, because I know everyone's seen this. Rick and Morty season 2 episode 8. They had the Jan Quadrant Vincent 16. Of course, it's kind of making fun of Jan Michael Vincent, who is an 80s star, like an action star. And what this is it's a movie about Jan Michael Vincent in this movie called Jan Quadrant Vincent 16. And this fake movie, is inside of Rick and Morty. So Rick and Morty talk about this movie. That's what this whole article is about. It's movies within movies that would actually be kind of cool. I did the top 7 that I found on Netflix.fun. And I thought this is a fun article, because we don't get to play too much around with stuff that's not real like this, and stuff that would be fun if it was actually a real thing. So first one, I had Jan Quadrant Vincent 16. Then I had Zombie High, which is a fake movie inside of iZombie, season 2 episode 10. And the synopsis for that says, what happens when a group of kids face the biggest exam of all? Survival. So again, it's zombie. It's very zombie. Now, if you've ever seen iZombie, we don't really cover it because it's goofy. I mean, it's not that we're afraid of covering goofy, but I don't know. I'm not in. I mean, the thing about our website, let me explain something just true about this website. We don't usually cover anything unless we're personally interested in it. You know what I mean? That's why you'll find like Stephanie covers all the Attack on Titan stuff. I do a lot of Walking Dead stuff, or just these little strange movies that you've never heard of. I love that stuff. There's not, we don't force each other to write about things that we're not interested in writing about. So that said, I'm not covering iZombie. And but this is probably about the extent of the coverage of iZombie right here. The next one I covered, the next fake TV show, is actually from Rick and Morty again, season 1, episode 8, called Two Brothers. I love this little description of this. It says, two brothers, period, in a van, period, and then a meteor hit. And they ran as fast as they could from giant cat monsters, and then a giant tornado came, and that's when things got knocked into 12th gear. A Mexican armada shows up with weapons made from tomatoes, and you better bet your bottom dollar. That's a tongue twister. You better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business. Oh, Rick and Morty, never change. Then we have Hyde, which was from Entourage. That was a fake, like, dystopian movie that was in that show. Tropic Thunder from 2008 had a couple of them. It had Scorcher and Scorcher 6. I'm trying to remember how to read Roman numerals. Scorcher 6. And they both are, they're like just over the top, and it, like in Scorcher, it says, it's 2013 and the Earth's rotation has come to a halt. The president has declared all of North America a disaster area. The world calls on the one man who can make a difference. Yes, and that man is Ben Stiller, of course. And then the Scorcher 6 is Global Meltdown. It's like the opposite of it, where everything freezes. Yeah, it's good stuff. And then my number one, well, I don't really have these in an order, but the number one that I have here on this list is The Mutants of 2051 AD, which is a fake movie within the movie Strange Brew from 1983. You just have to see it. If you've ever seen Strange Brew, you know how funny that is, because it's a ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, we'll just leave it at that. All right. So if you're interested in any of these, totally a fun article that I wrote just to be like kind of ridiculous. So check that out. And Nestflix.fun, I hope I never have to say that again, is it's a really great website. There's so much more on there, and I just picked out some of my favorite post-apocalyptic ones. There's other things on there that are post-apocalyptic too. Like there's, Running Man. If you've ever seen the movie Running Man, there's a fake game show called Running Man within the movie Running Man. And I didn't include that because it's a game show, but there's tons and tons of things in there. I mean, if you've ever seen The Office, there's a few good references to The Office in there. Like Threat Level Midnight, right? Michael Scarn's movie Threat Level Midnight. Lots of stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of those things. All right. Well, let's move on to the final thing I wanted to talk about. We're approaching a half hour here. I'm hoping to go over a half hour. I'm going to talk for a while on this, I think. This is The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 1. The premiere episode. This is the last time we're going to have a premiere episode of The Walking Dead. Just let that soak in for a minute. We're never again are we going to get this experience of seeing the first episode of a new season of Walking Dead. It's crazy. But anyway, so this first episode was I don't know. I didn't read a lot of reviews on it. I wrote one myself, but I didn't read a lot because I don't like to be spoiled by what other people think. But I did kind of glance over some of the titles that other people wrote of their reviews, and I don't know. Some people were disappointed. They said it was ho-hum. It was kind of mediocre. But the way I look at it, I think they were waiting for like more action or something. But the way I look at it, this episode. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. Where's Stephanie's little spoiler dance? I can't do it. I don't do it justice. But just be aware, there are spoilers. If you haven't seen the new season yet, just be aware that I'm gonna spoil it all right here. And if you don't have AMC Plus is where it came out on the 15th, which was last Sunday, and then regular AMC gets it this Sunday. So when this comes out, it won't be on regular TV yet. So definitely, if you don't have AMC Plus, you will be spoiled. Again, that is my warning. All right. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into what this episode was about and how I liked it, my thoughts on it. So, like I said, some people said that they thought it was pretty mediocre, that it wasn't, didn't have a lot of action, didn't have a lot of anything. Well, I look at it like this. It was one of these that are kind of laying the groundwork for what we can expect. And not only that, this season has to lay the groundwork for spin-off shows. We have several spin-off shows that are going to come after this. And we already have some that are going on right now. Fear the Walking Dead was the first one. That's already in season 7 or something like that. And then we had World Beyond, Walking Dead World Beyond, which was kind of, a lot of people are calling it like the young adult version, the teenage version of The Walking Dead. That's going to end after season 2, which is coming up in the near future here. So I think October. So we have World Beyond and Fear the Walking Dead already. Now coming up, we have Tales of the Walking Dead. I think that's what it's called, Tales from the Walking Dead, something like that. And that will be an anthology. It's kind of like the stories. What they're saying is it's going to be the stories of characters that we didn't see already fleshed out too much on the regular series. Like maybe you'll see, I don't know anything about which characters they have picked and chosen to do this for, but Tales of the Walking Dead is supposed to be, let's say you saw a character, you said, hey, I like that character, but they just died. They just got eaten by a zombie. Well, hopefully their plan is to flesh out some of these, no pun intended, flesh out some of these backstories on some of these kind of lesser known characters. So that sounds interesting. Then we have the Rick Grimes movies, the movie trilogy. It's like Lord of the Rings, but with Rick Grimes. And it's going to be, there's supposed to be 3 movies. There's supposed to be his backstory and also his story where he goes from where we last saw him. When he got taken away by the helicopter, everyone on the show thinks he's dead. Well, he's not dead. He was whisked away somewhere, Anne took him away, and we don't know where he's at. Now, of course, if you are a fan of the comic book, it's a totally different thing because Rick makes it to the end of the comic series. Totally different thing. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. We don't know where he's gone. I mean, we do know kind of where he's gone, but we don't know anything about these people that much. So that'll be fun. And then we have, the Daryl and Carol show, which it's people are doing like a hashtag Carol, Caryl, which is a mix of Carol and Daryl. And this, people love those two, right? First of all, they love them. They've been around since season 1. They're the OGs. They're the original people who have been in the show the longest. So of course people are going to love them. And it's Daryl and Carol, which I think is funny because they actually weren't even originally going to be big characters. Well, Daryl wasn't, at least. I think I saw somewhere that said that he was just going to be, this kind of redneck guy, him and Merle, because Merle, of course, was a redneck guy, and this is his brother. But the idea was that they weren't going to keep him in very long, so they made him kind of a very shallow, two-dimensional character. And then people loved him. People went nuts over him. And so they were like, wow, okay, we need to get this guy in there more, make him the hero. So here he is, 11 seasons later, and he's, he and Carol are going to have their own show. Now, there was an interview with Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl Dixon, and the interview said, well, he said in the interview that it's the Daryl and Carol spinoff is going to be very different. It's going to be very, very different from what we've seen in The Walking Dead so far. Is that good? Is it bad? I mean, I can think of it being good and bad, but I kind of worry that it's going to be, it's still going to be a zombie, it's going to be in the same world, the same Walking Dead world. Those two, though, I don't know. At the end of season 10, they were at each other's throats. They really, they said some things that they really can't come back from. They blamed each other for deaths. And it just seems like some of the things they said to each other were really hurtful. And that I think also was laying the groundwork for their future together. Because right now, when we see in this first episode of season 11, they're buddy again. I think they just have to say to themselves, let's not worry about us being dramatic with each other, and let's just kill these zombies. Let's get this group together and safe. And so that brings me to what's going on in this actual episode. So at the beginning of the episode, we see Maggie and Carol and a couple others they rappel down into this building to get MREs, which means meal ready to eat, I think, right? And so they go down, they get these MREs, and the whole floor is covered, just absolutely covered in sleeping zombies. And you're saying, have we seen these before? Have we seen these sleeping zombies? Is this something that, maybe I missed before? Like, I thought they were always just awake and walking around, and if they did sleep, they would sleep standing up. We've seen that before. Well, they're called lurkers. Angela Kang said at the end of the episode, there was kind of like a wrap-up thing on AMC Plus, and she said these are called lurkers. They're not like the others, which are called roamers. So lurkers kind of wait around, I guess, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're all laying on the ground, waiting around, and so everyone has to tiptoe over them, be very quiet, and it works for a little while, and then, of course, someone makes a noise. They all start waking up. Everyone's shooting them headshot after headshot with bows and arrows. It's an action-packed scene, but it's a little unbelievable. It's very Walking Dead, that's for sure. And then they escape. They get out. Everyone's fine. But Maggie realizes, Maggie's kind of the leader here at Alexandria now, and she realizes, look, we need to go back to Meridian, because Meridian at least had a lot of supplies. Like, we keep going out on these supply runs, and it's really dangerous. We're not going to make it much longer. So she says, let's go to Meridian, restock. And everyone's like, wait a minute, Meridian got taken over. And she's like, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, right? Little tension, little building up tension and foreshadowing. So they head out. There's Maggie. I have it written down somewhere because I can't remember everyone who was in that scene. There's Maggie, Carol, Negan, Daryl, Jerry. I can't find where I had it written down. Somewhere in this thing here. Aaron and Connie. And there's a couple more too in there too. And then, so we see them, they're heading toward Meridian, and they go through the DC subway system, which anyone who's ever played Fallout 3 has probably gotten pretty excited to see them going through the DC, whatever they call it, the subway. And there, of course, there's zombies in there. There's there's these strange body bags that are on the floor, and they're filled with, animated corpses. They're not really like full zombies. And they talk about how these people were probably put down here before everything happened, before the big zombie, maybe they were hidden down there. Like, there was the first of the ones who were infected. That's what I gathered on it. But anyway, so there's a big battle going on in there. But then we cut across to Eugene's group. And Eugene's group has Miko and Princess and Ezekiel, those four. And they are in the Commonwealth. This is our introduction to the Commonwealth. We get to see the stormtroopers. We finally get to see these stormtroopers. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about their costumes, because they're it's like, their armor. They have white armor on. They had to have. I mean, it's from the comic book, so it's not like the TV show has invented this, but it's very stormtrooper, which isn't really a bad thing. I love Star Wars. So there's that. But we also get, while they're being interrogated by the Commonwealth, they bring them in these rooms, and they're interrogating each person. And while they're doing that, we get to see Mercer. Now, they don't call him by name, but Mercer is a big part of the comic books. He's the leader of the Commonwealth Army, and he has red armor on. He's a red stormtrooper, right? And he's pretty much a badass, from what we gather in the comics, and you can see it in this introduction to him. He's standing off to the side while people are being interrogated, and he's not really saying anything. And at one point, Ezekiel's like, let's talk to this guy. What's this guy talking? What's he doing? Why is he standing over here? Let's. And Mercer, I think, has a couple lines, but we don't hear his name. I don't think they said his name. But he's going to be a big part of this season, and so I'm excited to see where that goes. And of course, we cut back to Maggie's group later in the episode, and we see when they're fighting the zombies, there's a whole horde coming down this subway, and they have to fight them. They're stabbing them all in the head, and they're killing the ones in the body bags too. I think that's actually what they started, killing the ones in the body bags, and that kind of alerted the other ones, and they start coming down the hallway, the subway tunnel toward them. So it's a tense situation. They're fighting. They're in such tight quarters, and so people start retreating, and it's kind of the only way. Find high ground, get out of there. Kind of the only thing you can do at that point. Well, Negan, who we already know. I mean, we know why Negan doesn't like Maggie, and we know especially why Maggie doesn't like Negan, is because Negan killed Glenn. Oh, is that a spoiler? No. That was back in season 7, I think, 6 or 7, right around there. So they hate each other. She gives him dirty looks throughout this whole beginning of the episode, and even the last part of season 10, just dirty looks all the time. And he had this really kind of apologetic air to him back then. But then we saw, like when he found Lucille, the bat, he was kind of like, oh, I'm back, baby, So we're a little confused about Negan at this point. He's friendly, but then behind the scenes, he's not friendly. You just know something's going to happen. So we see them in this situation where they're fighting with the zombies, and Negan decides to jump up on top of something. I forgot. I don't think it was like a subway car. It was some kind of little structure. He jumps up on top, and Maggie is like, oh, I need to follow him. I hate the guy, but I'm going to go ahead and follow him. And so she runs up, and she jumps up to grab the ledge, and she's pulling herself up, and there's zombies at her feet. They're grabbing her feet, and she's pulling herself up. And you see Negan. It's a great perspective, great shot. The shot is like down below from Maggie's perspective, and you just see Negan's head kind of poke over. He just kind of floats over there, and he's like looking down at her, and she's like, Negan, help me. And in any other movie, with any other star, any other character besides Negan, you'd be like, well, they hate each other. Maybe they'll reconcile. This is, he'll reach that hand down there at the last minute, and he'll grab her, and he'll pull her up, and it'll be great, and they'll hug, and they'll forgive each other. And no, not on The Walking Dead, not with Negan. He floats over there, looks down at her, she begs for him, and he kind of just floats back. And you're like, that son of a and the crazy thing is, so she's still grabbing the ledge, she still looks like she's going to get up there, and you still have hope. You're like, oh, maybe he's going to get a rake or something. He's going to hold it down for her. No. So you're still holding out hope for those last few seconds. And then she falls. She slips and falls down into this giant horde of zombies. And it's crazy. Now, we do know, again, this is like a spoiler within a spoiler. She's going to make it. Like, we see her later on in other previews. We, the story continues with her. It does in the comics too. So it'll be interesting to see how she gets out. I think that even this is a 2-part episode. This is the first part. This first one is the first part, and then we're going to see the second part next week. But from what I have seen from the second episode, a lot of people are really laying into Negan. They're like, where's Maggie? Like, what did you do? And he's like, I don't know. She's back there somewhere. I didn't see her. He makes it sound like it wasn't his fault and all this stuff. So I have a feeling we're not going to see Maggie again for a little while. And I just got over the fact that we didn't see her for like all season 9, whatever it was. And she just finally came back in season 10 and like the end of season 10. And here we are. We're going to lose her again. But hopefully not for too long, because she is kind of like the leader of that group. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, as you can tell, it's affected me. I'm really into this. I gave up on The Walking Dead, and I am back, baby. I'm back. I'm like Negan. I'm back. I'm going to start walking around like Negan with my back like this, talking like this. I'm going to start carrying a bat around and just wearing a leather jacket. No, I'm not. So I'm back. I'm really into it again. I really love it. And so like I said last week, I'm going to write a review / synopsis / recap of every episode, when I can, of the new episodes as they come out. So I'm excited about that. Excited about seeing this season. It's supposed to be 24 episodes. It's supposed to bring us well into 2022. I think there's supposed to be even 3 parts. Like they're going to have a group of episodes, then they're going to take a little bit off, then a group of episodes. I think that's how they're doing it. That's what the rumor is. I don't know if I can make it through that, but we'll see. And you know why they do that? I'm going to tell you right now. They do it so we have to pay for AMC Plus longer. I hate it. I'm so cheap though. I'll probably cancel and then come back later. I'll probably do that. We'll see. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode where I just basically am talking to the camera, and I like doing these solo episodes. Derek and Stephanie say they like this, so they're the bosses, right? But thanks everyone for listening, and thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you check out the website, post-apocalyptic.com or post-apocalypticmedia.com. We also are on just about every social media you can think of, and we are everywhere. We're doing videos, we're doing streaming, we're doing the TikToks, we're doing Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. And we're growing. We're really growing. And I've said it before, but yeah, if you are interested in writing about this kind of thing, hit us up. I'd like to see what you got. Yep. So until next episode, my name is Shawn, and stay alive out there. I'll always be ready for the big one, as Derek would say. Thanks, everyone.